Do you or someone you know own a home that you use for an Airbnb or a VRBO or something like that, or even just a room in your house? Well, sit back, relax, because that's what we're talking about. Well, yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about rent, or what we normally term as short-term rentals, or Airbnbs or VRBOs or VRBO, or however you want to pronounce it. But yes, I am Ryan Turbo Jackson, your insurance resource. And when it comes to this channel, I normally like to break down policies or verbiage because, let's be honest, insurance is its own language. So let me help you. And today, like I said, we're going to talk about, if you do own an Airbnb or VRBO, is it insured correctly? How do you know? What do you need? What questions do you need to ask? So let's dive into it. And unfortunately, it's going to be company dependent as far as how they handle an Airbnb or a VRBO situation. So there's three types, at least with the companies that I work with, and what I've heard other companies work with is simply they can endorse your normal homeowner's policy to add to the fact that, yes, you will be making money with this. There is a rental exposure, and the rental exposure is going to be by multiple people and not just one tenant throughout the whole year. Some companies have a special program, and other companies, when it comes to this, they have, let's say, a number of days. Usually it's like 180 days. If it's used for rental under 180 days, then it can be written one way. Or if it's going to be a year long thing and it's going to be over 180 days, then we have to look at it on a commercial risk. So yes, it is company dependent. There's not going to be one specific way that insurance companies handle this. So yeah, if you have something for rent, if you're renting out, like I mentioned, a room in your home as far as an Airbnb is concerned, or if you're renting out the entire house for the weekend, things like that, it's definitely, you need to contact your agent to see if which one of those criteria that we just showed is going to be their type, the way they handle these situations. So better safe than sorry, and yes, contact your agent. But even if you're renting out a lake home like this, there's a lot of homes around my area that are offered on the weekend or weekly basis, especially during some of the hot holidays like the 4th of July, Labor Day, Memorial Day, things of that nature. So yes, lakefront is a very popular option. Or for those that want to be more adventurous, then we have the cabin out in the woods, where the more outdoorsy type can go hiking. And if there's a stream or a lake around, they can take a kayak or a canoe and just have a whole lot of fun being in the outdoors. But then again, once we see in this video, I'm going to explain the differences and why this coverage needs to be different than a regular homeowner's policy. And what would happen if you came in after a tenant had leased this home for the week or the weekend, and this beautiful, beautiful living room is absolutely destroyed? What would go through your mind? Of course, you'd be upset. You'd be very, very irritated, and then you would look to your insurance company to make a claim because this very pretty setting is all turned over. That looks like, the Rolling Stones came through and had we're prepping for a concert or a post-conference or post-concert party, and everything is just ripped to shreds. There's stains everywhere and everything is broken. That's not a situation that you want. And yes, when it comes to that, you're looking for your insurance company to help you out. And if you do have a lakefront home, there's usually a boat associated with said property. So the tenants can take a nice little stroll around the lake, do a little fishing, that type of thing. That's kind of one of the draws of a lakefront Airbnb and VRBO, is that you do have access to a boat. Well, what happens if something happens to the boat? What happens if someone is injured by the person driving the boat that's your tenant? These are all things that you have to think about, and what's going to be the difference between a regular homeowner's policy and how your insurance company handles an Airbnb or VRBO. But before we dive deep into this, and I tell you how exactly to make sure that your property is taken care of, go ahead and like, subscribe, comment on this video, and share it around, because even if you don't have an Airbnb, I guarantee there's someone that does. So basically, ladies and gentlemen, what it boils down to is you need to have a conversation with your agent. like I specified, every company is different when it comes to these coverages. Yes, it would be extremely easy and helpful if all of them were the same. What brought me to this video was I have a new referral partner that we've been doing some of these short-term rentals with, and I had to go through this conversation with her. So I figured, why not make a video about it? Because if she has a question, one of you out there has the question, and I want to get it answered. So when you do contact your agent, when you have your current policy, see what they say. If it's just a simple endorsement, that's going to be awesome, because that endorsement is going to open up the door to allow you to do these things. Because what happens with a normal home policy, whether it be obviously these are going to be mostly secondary properties, or just you can't really write them as a normal rental because they're not rented with one tenant. They're multiple tenants. They're coming in and out, so the risk increases. And with that increased risk, you want to make sure that endorsement, if that's the company's policy, is in place to make sure, like the examples we talked about, with the boat, if someone gets hurt on the boat, you want to make sure that your policy is correct for liability reasons. And the example that I gave, if someone came up and tore everything up, you want to make sure that when you go to make a claim for your contents, that everything is written correctly. Because if it's just a normal secondary home policy and the insurance company finds out that it is a short-term rental, you're probably not going to get any coverage, and the claim could possibly be denied. As well as if you went the route that I normally go, is there's a company I work with that has a special program, especially for these properties. So that makes it easier to place the risk. That makes it easier to make sure that there aren't any holes in the coverage where an endorsement might fail or might not cover certain situations. With this special package that they have, it's meant for short-term rentals or Airbnbs or VRBOs. So that's basically the route that I go. The last option when it comes to companies having day limits, it's still kind of a gray area. I mean, when you set out to do it and you're like, you know what, Ryan, I have all of these folks in place that are ready. I mean, my property is so awesome that everyone wants to rent it. So I have no problem filling it more than 180 days. In that case, with that last option I showed, it's going to be written commercially. What commercially means is more money. It's more expensive normally. I'm using a blanket statement here, but yes, it normally is more expensive to insure something commercially than it is on the personal line side, just because commercial means money. Anytime you're making money on something, it's usually expected that you're going to be covered commercially. So if, let's say you pay for the commercial policy, but only end up renting it out in 45 days. Then you just wasted a bunch of money. And then the flip side, if you say, Ryan, I'm only going to rent it for 45 days out of the year, and you end up renting it out 250 days, then now you see where the gray area comes in. And if something were to happen, of course, with the insurance company knowing that it's a short-term rental, they're going to want to see receipts. They're going to want to see bookings to see exactly how many days were actually being rented. So there's where the gray area is, and that's why I kind of shy away from that option. So, like I said, the best option for me has been with the special programs that one company in particular has giving me an option to use. So that's what I've been using. Most of the companies I work with do not offer the endorsement route. That's normally for like captive agents like Allstate and some of the other ones like that. So, and I'm an independent agent, so I don't work with those companies that offer that. So this is the route that I take. So whether it's good or bad, I don't know. It's just the one that I take, and that's the one that usually ends up with the best coverage and for the best price. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. That is it for the Airbnb and VRBO and short-term rental video. Up here is a video that I would really like you to watch, and over here is the subscribe. So I would love it if you continue to watch another video in my homeowner series, and I will check you on the next one.